Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today, our topic is women and politics. But before I will go to the main topic, I would like to inform you that today is World Cancer Day. World Cancer Day is an international day marked on February 4th to raise awareness of cancer and to encourage prevention, detection, and treatment. World Cancer Day is led by the Union for International Cancer Control, UICC, to support the goals of the World Cancer Declaration written in 2008. The primary goal of World Cancer Day is to significantly reduce illness and death caused by cancer and is an opportunity to rally the international community to end the injustice of preventable suffering from cancer. The day is observed by the United Nations. World Cancer Day targets misinformation, raises awareness, and reduces stigma. Multiple initiatives are run on World Cancer Day to show support for those affected by cancer. Media conference with Lal Goel extend its full support for this cause. Now coming to the main topic, and that is women and politics. There is no occasion for women to consider themselves subordinate or inferior to men, said Mahatma Gandhi. For me, a better democracy is a democracy where women do not only have the right to vote and to elect, but to be elected. I think more women should be involved in politics for the good of the human race. Politics is a potent way to empower women. Janet Pickering Rankin was the first women politician in the world. She was an American politician and women's rights advocate and the first woman to hold federal office in the United States. She was elected to the US House of Representatives as a Republican from Montana in 1916 and again in 1940. Women were substantially involved in the Indian independence movement in the early 20th century and advocated for independence from Britain. Independence brought gender equality in the form of constitutional rights, but historically, women's political participation has remained low. After Indian independence from Britain, the Indian Constitution in 1950 officially granted women and men suffrage. Prior to universal suffrage, provincial legislatures had granted women the right to vote. Madras was the first to grant women's suffrage in 1921, but only to those men and women who owned land property according to British administration's record. The rights granted in response to the movement towards suffrage were limited to qualifications of literacy and property ownership, including property ownership of husbands. This excluded vast majority of Indian women and men from voting because they were poor. This changed in 1950 when universal suffrage was granted to all adult Indian citizens. In 1950, universal suffrage granted voting rights to all women. This is enshrined in Article 326 in the Constitution. Mrs. Violet Hari Alwar became the first woman deputy chairperson of the Rajya Sabha in 1962. Mrs. Sucheta Kriplani was India's first woman chief minister, serving as the head of the Uttar Pradesh government from 1963 to 1967. In 1966, India chose the first female prime minister and Mrs. Indira Gandhi became the first female prime minister of India. Mrs. Pratibha Patil became India's first female president in 2007. In 2009, Mrs. Meera Kumar became first female speaker of Lok Sabha. The term political participation of women has a very wide meaning. It is not only related to right to vote, but simultaneously related to participation in decision-making process, political activism, political consciousness, etc. Women in India participate in voting, run for public offices and political parties at lower levels more than men. Political activism and voting are the strongest areas of women's political participation. To combat gender inequality in politics, the Indian government has instituted reservations for seats in local governments. Women turnout during India's parliamentary general elections was 65.63% compared to 67.09% turnout for men. India ranks 20th from the bottom in terms of representation of women in parliament. Women have held the posts of President and Prime Minister India as well as Chief Ministers of various states. Indian voters have elected women to numerous state legislative assemblies and national ministry for many decades. While politicians across India are keen to talk about women empowerment and the political legacies of the women remain largely anomalies in the political landscape. The fact remains women are underrepresented in state and national decision-making bodies. According to a report by the Association of Democratic Reforms ADR and National Election Watch NEW, the state of representation of women in the country's decision-making process continues to be dismal, with only 9% women MLAs and MPs across the country in 2019. The lack of women political candidates is a potentially critical barrier to their eventual representation in government. For instance, in India's recently concluded 2019 national election, about 14% of those elected to parliament were women, but only 9% of the candidates were women. So, conditional upon contesting, women exhibit somewhat stronger chances of winning than men. The same holds true at the state level too. As per analyzed data from India's state assemblies over 1980 to 2007, and found that while women comprised 5.5% of all state legislatures over this period, only 4.4% of the candidates were women. In the US, women held 24% of the seats in Congress in 2019, while about 29% of candidates in the 2018 midterm elections were women. In contrast to this large gender gap in candidacy, there is no gender gap in voting in India, with women turning out to vote at the same rates as men in state and national elections after 2010. In the US, women's voter turnout has been higher than that of men since 1970. 48.03% is the population of women in India. Total 78 MPs out of 543 in Lok Sabha, that is only 14.36%. Total 25 MP out of 245 MPs in Rajya Sabha, that is only 10.20%. Now, to discuss this point, today's topic, women and politics, we have a very elite, experienced, knowledgeable panel with us. And I would like to invite my first panelist guest, and she is Advocate Manjula Rao. Advocate Manjula Rao is the senior advocate at Bombay High Court, Mumbai. She is practicing for more than 40 years in Bombay High Court. She was government pleader in Bombay High Court for over 10 years. She was CBI and Central Government Counsel for several years. Supreme Court appointed her to appear as prosecutor for state of Gujarat in riot case in Vadodara, known as Best Bakery case, where Jahira had approached Supreme Court against acquittal. Welcome, Advocate Manjula Rao, on our show. Please unmute yourself. Advocate Manjula Rao, please unmute. Advocate Rao, you have heard the report which I have read it. Now,
Yes.
the report is very clear that whatsoever we are talking, equality, gender equality, women empowerment, but when the decision making is concerned, the parliament is concerned or the legislative assemblies are concerned, the representation of women is very poor. It's approximately 10% or 14%. While the population-wise, if we see, almost equal, 48% of women are there in India. Now, in the present situation, we would like to know from you, the women and politics, Advocate Manjula Rao, please.
See, now trend is changing. We are finding that the girls are participating in every field, and gradually the media is also reaching the remote area, places in India, and you find that some of these girls who are coming from a very remote places are now actively participating in the politics. Now, for instance, this year, if you see that there are young girls who have stood for election and were elected, and I am sure over a time when the education is spread all over, and the youngsters, young girls who are now very active will participate. But the only thing is that the men have to change their mindset. The problem here is that the men always felt that women are not uh, good enough to participate. But now I find, if you see the recent you know results in CA, the girls have topped it. So now the time is changing, and I'm sure that these through media, the people, the youngsters who are in the remote places, like in Assam, and you take it in Orissa background, they are coming forward. And we have found this year that two of the youngsters from a remote area have been elected, and they are doing very well. There is only little encouragement is concerned from ladies from that area. And education to these remote areas, backward areas, I may say so, will really bring about these girls to come forth and to actively participate in this politics. We have now improved to a great length. We see that the college levels, and you take it university levels, girls are coming forth. They are actively participating. The only request I would make to the parents, that they should allow their daughters to participately be vocal in their approach and their statements about what they feel. Their views should be allowed to be placed, because I find that some of the parents try to hold back their daughters, fearing about their future life, which I think needs to be, the counselings and all is required, which we are doing here in Bombay, allowing the parents to encourage their daughters to participate in every field, including politics. And I think if you see, even during pre-independence day, we had ladies who had come forward and have achieved to the great length. So now they have the youngsters have to be informed about them. Like we know that Mrs. Hansa Mehta, and in the year that time she fought, and she brought the university education, encouraged the education of the children. We have also known Annu Swaminathan. She fought for it. And then, if you remember, there was a lady, Malti Chaudhary, was the lady who stepped in to promote trade union. Now, these information has to be given should be conveyed to the youngsters who are now interested and are educating themselves, and so that it might bring their courage within them to come up and to take openly. And I'm sure that in some time, these mindset that women are backward, women are incapable of doing, will not be the hindrance for the girls to come up. And I personally feel that the such conferences where you invite youngsters and show it to the young, convey it to the girls who are hesitating to participate, will give them courage to come forward and participate openly in the political agenda. But what is little is that we find that at present only the family are encouraging their daughters. You will see the girls who are now in the politics or women are in politics have a background, a family background. They are sort of a representative of their family. To discourage that, what we need is that to encourage the children from school to say that participating, voicing yourself for certain concern is good and it should be encouraged from young age. And I have a feeling that in due course this trend will also change, and we'll find that more ladies and girls will be representing the nation in every field.
Okay, thank you very much, Advocate Rao. What Advocate Rao has said is that the trend is changing, and she is very clear in her thoughts. She says the earlier time, yes, there were lots of reservations, but now the young girls from the remote areas of country are joining, coming forward. They are raising their voices, and that's why the future for the women in politics is quite bright, according to Advocate Rao. Although she says that pre-independence also, many of the ladies have come forward. Even they have set up the trade unions. They were in the forefront, and all others about the education also. And she says that if these types of awareness is created, more and more young girls will join the politics, and then definitely the future of the women in politics is quite bright. Now, my question to you, because you are I know that you are have to attend that. My question is very simple. In the present context, if we are talking about the today's time, you might have heard or viewed in the media that one Twitter message came from one of the international celebrity. Now, what happened that in that context, one of our Indian celebrity, women, I'm talking both the, I can name Miss Rihanna and Miss Kangna Raut. Now, Miss Kangna Raut has replied, we are not going on merits and demerits. But what happened then, Miss Rihanna's dirty pictures were uploaded on WhatsApp. And in reply to that, Miss Kangna Raut's dirty pictures were again uploaded on the WhatsApp. Now, tell me, if this is the condition of today's politics, how the girls would like to come in this present atmosphere, to they will think to join the politics, because earlier, as you know well, politics means we were might be having difference of opinions, different political parties. We never do raise any fingers on a personal thing or a character or anything. But now with this type of condition, do you think it is advisable for the young girls to come to the politics? Advocate Rao, please.
May I say so? As far as these two ladies are concerned, it is I feel, this is my opinion. I suppose Dr. Rajiv Anand will help me. This is only for attracting attention. It is an attention seeking. Women or girls who are well educated, they know what is their goal is, what there is aim. I don't think they will indulge in such things. And therefore, these two celebrities are from a different world. Their whole agenda is to draw attention towards themselves. So they are on the limelight. And they have nothing to do with politics, according to me. But those girls and youngsters who are absolutely focused on bringing some change in the country and for the women will never indulge in that. So my opinion is that I don't think I should overlook, everybody should overlook and keep these two Twitters and all aside and not involved, and should not consider as a part of a political upbringing or political thing. It is only self-propaganda, according to me.
But what you say about Miss Greta? Because she was also abused, although she's a role model of youth. She's the young role model, and she's the a girl who has even said on Mr. Trump, she faced Mr. Trump's boldly. And if she was abused by
Yes,
the Indian, by our people, for whatsoever reason, we are not going on merit. Do you think it will not give an impact of a young girl thinking that if such type of the abuses they are going to hear, if they will say something, because politics cannot be in one sided, it has to be two sided. Either you are in favor of the government
absolutely.
or against the government. It is a it's a democratic process. Now what will be the impact of Miss Greta's thing, you
It's
will
not
say?
it's not only in politics, but it's in every field. If you see, take every field where women are stepping in, they are facing, they have faced it, and they'll continue to face it. Therefore, I feel that only those who have courage and are able to fight will survive. And I think more and more now, the trend is changing. Youngsters have become stronger, they are well read, well educated, and they know they don't need support, they can fight their own battle.
Thank you, Advocate Rao. We know you are such a courageous lady that you fought 18 months case of Best Bakery and got 9 accused convicted out of 17. It was a great feather, I must say, on your cap, because it was not an easy case. And in that case, you got the success and you got the laurels. Hats off to you. And I'm sure the young generations or young youths who are watching this program must take the encouragement and listen what she has mentioned to come forward and join the politics or give your thoughts openly, but in a limited way. Limited means in a dignified way. Thank you very much, Advocate Rao.
Absolutely.
And in case if you are free, please rejoin. You are most
I
welcome.
will,
We
I
would
will,
like
I
to
will, I will. I just about 15 minutes.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Advocate Rao. Now I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Dr. Rajiv Anand. Dr. Rajiv Anand is a senior psychiatrist and marriage counselor. Dr. Rajiv Anand passed his MBBS in 1976 and did MD in psychiatry in 1980 from King's George Medical College, Lucknow. Dr. Anand opted to serve his country when it was very common to settle abroad for bridal scheme. He has clients all over India as well as in many other countries. Dr. Anand was honored with Lifetime Achievement Award by AMA. He has conducted more than 3,000 workshops for different groups and companies with audience size of 10 to 800. His television program on various channels have been widely appreciated for his forthright and practical approach. He is leading in the field of mental and emotional well-being for 40 years. He was president of IMA for 2 times. He was interviewed in several talk shows in domestic and internationally. Welcome, Dr. Rajiv Anand, on our show. Dr. Rajiv Anand, you have heard what Senior Advocate Manjula Rao has spoken. And she believes that the youths have already started joining the politics. And she says now the youths from the remote area or the far areas are coming to that's a very welcome sign. And only thing is the man has to change the mentality. They are double standards. So if she says that if the women, if the young girls will join politics, then the day is not far when more and more MPs or MLAs will be from the women or the ladies or the females. Now, we would like to know from you, because you being a leading psychiatrist and you are dealing with both the genders equally or sometimes even more, you what are your views, because you have also dealt with those who are in politics, whether men and women, and you are also dealing with their problems. But as a human being, as a doctor, what are your views about the women and politics? Dr. Rajiv Anand, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lal, and good morning to everyone. Welcome, Sanjana Seth from Delhi and Kerala and Radhe from Bombay, and welcome viewers across Kerala, Karnataka, Bihar, UP, foreign countries through global TV and through all the regional channels. Mr. Lal, you deserve congratulations for selecting good topics, good speakers, in helping each one of us know some perspective which usually remain overlooked. when we all gather for such kind of program, we listen to each other. So we come to know different dimension which we have never thought of so far. That applies to me too. Usually, I do not prepare for any of my program. I just keep on thinking in my mind an hour or two before in the night in the sleep. So I was thinking politics has come to stay as a dirty word these days. If I tell anybody in my in my social circle, that I'm going to politics, they would look at me with bewilderment, as if they're asking me the question that, have you gone mad? That you are a doctor, you're a psychiatrist, you're doing well. Why going in politics? So even if I say that I'm contesting corporator election, even then they wouldn't be satisfied. Why politics? You are a professional. For regions, very obvious to most of us, the word politics has become a different word, different connotation, different meaning these days. And this slightly dirty connotation, dirty interpretation of the word politics, which originally it never was, is courtesy because of certain people who came into the mainstream politics, and they appointed themselves as politicians. Now, I'm not talking on any debate of any regular channel of this party or that party. I'm much beyond it. I'm not accusing any color. I'm not accusing any particular this color or that color. But somehow the politicians have acquired a different role than they were expected to. If I may go back 60, 70, 80, 90 years back, who was called Raja? What was called Raj? What was called Rajniti? Who was called Rajneta? That was a responsibility given to someone with impeccable character, with trustable qualities, with immense ability to manage society, to manage every section of society, poorest to the richest, most educated to the most illiterate, most have to most have not, most endowed to most deprived, and take them together and keep them together cohesively. And Raja was supposed to bring, I'm not going to 100 years back, Raja, even Rajneta was supposed to bring the best out of each other and encourage, motivate, egg on everyone to give his or her best and let his best benefit all others in the society in a very, very honest, very above board way. That was originally Rajneta. That was originally politician. That was the great task the elders in the society or seniors in the society or wiser people in the society decided that Mr. Nehru, you would be the prime minister. Or Mr. X, you shall be the governor general. Or Miss X, you shall be the chief minister. That was the system. Over a period of time, those who occupied chairs or those who acquired position, they began misusing that chair or position or power for their own selfish motive to enhance their prowess or their wealth at the individual family level. From there, the meaning of politics turned different. It became a poisonous word. Now, these days, if we look at the politician from the heart, we do not get that feeling of respect for them. We always have a feeling, oh, he must be millionaire, billionaire. And if he is moving around in a very, very high-end car, or if he has a number of flats and if he has huge money, we take it in the stride. कोई बात नहीं ना, politician है ना, ये तो उनका born right है, ये तो उनका जन्मसिद्ध अधिकार है, पैसे तो उनको मिलते हैं. We have accepted as a part of, as if this is normal. Now, where I see women as politicians, and this thought of suggesting this topic to Mr. Lal came a month back, women as politicians, not merely that a woman can be a better politician or a worse politician, that's not the issue. Management, if I use the word politics, is management. Politics is human skill management. Politics is human relationship skill. Women are far more skilled. Sanjana and Carol would both agree with me. The women are far more skilled to organize people, to take them along, to make them give their best in a very affable, very congenial, very comfortable way without stepping into anyone's toes. They have the ability to treat people as family, and they have the ability to make people feel connected. And that's what's originally politics. That let the society together be a part of each other's life and contribute to each other in any way, whichever is one's forte. So women were traditionally treated as housemaker, maker of the kids, making the food, running the kitchen, taking care of the family's nourishment, and that the role traditionally it was. And we all have grown up in that kind of atmosphere. We all unconsciously have been programmed to believe women are property, women are to be confined to the home, and they can't do anything else. So since decades or since ages, they have been suppressed only in the recent decades. Society begin acknowledging, society begin accepting, no, they are not that what we have been passed on to. And that's what the result we are seeing today. We have a senior journalist, ex-editor of a newspaper, Carol. We have Sanjana Seth, who has worked in different corporate sector. We just now heard Manjula Rao ji, senior advocate, and so many other people. Women, not merely as a politician, they have all the powers, they have all the abilities which a man does have, provided they are accepted, they are appreciated, and they are respected. They are no less. Whether we call it Golda Meir, whether we call it Bandar Naike in Sri Lanka, whether we call it the lady who was in UK, the Prime Minister or so, or whether we call Ms. Indira Gandhi, or whether we call other leaders in different areas, different countries. They have no less capacity. Only thing we have to change, as Mrs. Manjula Rao has said, we have to change our attitude. By and large, we have associated women 99% with their body. We have associated them as if their entire image or entire identity is connected to their body. And unfortunately, this notion has also been willingly or unwillingly accepted by many women. They also believe that they are body first, then anything else. No, I disagree. They are human beings, and they are as equal human being as anyone else. Wherever the word women empowerment is used, I have my own personal disagreement and my reservation about it. As if it is that kind of traditional society कि पुराने घरों में, नॉर्थ इंडिया में भी और जगह भी, घर के सारे लोग, मर्द लोग जब खाना खा लेते थे और जो खाना बचता था वो घर की औरतें एंड में खाती थी. कितना बचता था, कितना नहीं बचता था, पेट भरने लायक था या नहीं था, जो उनकी सेमाया वो खा के चुप होके सो जाती थी. Is it the power like that? Is the power a cake? कि हम larger section उस केक का खाएंगे, हम थोड़ा section 9%, and Mr. Lal has given in the introduction, 9% of the women are in the legislature, be it at the state level, assembly level, or at the national parliament level. कि हम 91% केक हम खाएंगे, 9% हम इनको देंगे, बचा हुआ जो हम नहीं खा सकते, which is rubbish. Why can't there be equal participation? Why can't there be? Who empowers us to think that I am giving 9% out of my big cake to women? This word of women empowerment itself is erroneous. As if the man is the sole inheritor or sole owner of that property, called whatever, property called politics, property called rights, property called different kind of powers, and he would allow women to find, tum ye cake ka chota piece le lo. That means the attitude is there that even though you don't deserve it, even though you are not capable of shouldering the responsibility, it's my magnanimity, it's my party's different rules that we are allowing you. Why? They are equal. Why can't we treat them equal? God made them equal. Now, we stupid people always think that they are body, and we think that certain unique dimension or unique character or unique composition of their body makes them feel inferior. That's very shallow thinking on the part of the male, because most male are not enlightened, educated on this matter. God made them equal. God didn't make them inferior. Who gave us that erroneous interpretation that they are inferior than us? And if we think that we can arrogate to us the power to rule over them or dominate over them, to save them from other predators in the society, and be it certain religion beliefs, so the woman has to be kept hidden, woman has to be kept away from the man, or certain section of tribal society, not exactly tribal, but certain section of backward society feel. In any society which feel the woman cannot fight for a right, cannot protect herself, I would call it backward. Leave it to women, they know how to safeguard them. Leave it to women, they know how to get the respect. Leave it to them, they know how to keep the men at arm's length, provided we trust them. Now, if we keep them behind us, no, you come behind me and don't drive, don't talk, don't show it to the world that you are, then something to be looked inside us. Back to the topic of women and politician, I'm 100% clear, 100% sure, time is changing very fast from the time of old ancient system to now. The whole society is taking the, what's the word called, turning around. And more young people are coming in different walks of society. They are becoming leaders, they are becoming top level CEOs, they are becoming top level managers in various banks, they are also becoming politicians. And yes, women would be less corrupt politicians because they are not vulnerable to various vices as a man can. Men get easily tempted by various vices available whenever somebody is occupying the chair. Women, less. We all would agree that how many women we have heard about having huge wealth amassed because of political chair. Leave aside 1 or 2%, better to be left unnamed. But by and large, they have a capacity to serve the society in far better way than men can. I would very strongly recommend all those who are listening to this program, courtesy Mr. Lal and V4 TV, that let all of them think about the best way to serve society is that you take some role at the political platform and let more and more people come on the political platform. Let this not remain dirty word any longer. Dirty it becomes when you are extremely selfish and you throw the society's interest to the wind and you take care of only your interest. So I would leave it at this point, waiting for the second round whenever it comes. Thank you, Mr. Lal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anand. And I will just I will just stress on one point which he has highlighted, and it's a very interesting point. He says, "What is women empowerment? Are the men are supreme power, or are they are the holders of some power that they have the everything with them and they can just give some?" And in context of politics, he says, when there is only 9% share or 10% shares in the legislative or in the parliament, is it a man's right on the or the monopoly on the power politics? No, according to Dr. Rajiv Anand, the man doesn't have that power. No one has given the power to men. Then why they are giving like a small cake to a woman? Okay, you just eat this thing. This is your seats, number of seats or whatnot. So according to him, there is no question of empowerment women. They are already empowered. Only thing is that they are being suppressed by the men in past, but now, according to Dr. Anand, they are coming up with all new venues, and whether banks or offices, IT sectors, even in politics. And if this trend will continue, definitely they are self-sufficient and they can safeguard themselves. We should not think that they are weak in any way. Thank you very much, Dr. Anand, for giving your views and a new thing about women empowerment. Yes, this is something new which I also learned from you, as you are learning, as you mentioned initially. Thank you very much. Now I would like to go to my next guest, and she is Miss Carol Andrade. Miss Carol is the senior journalist and media educator. She is the dean of St. Paul's Institute of Communication Education, Mumbai. She is a journalist for more than 4 decades. Miss Carol Andrade is a keen observer of the human condition. She likes people most of the time, reading and thinking up new ways to improve on how we talk to each other. Welcome, Miss Carol Andrade, on our show. Miss Carol, please unmute yourself. You have heard Senior Advocate Manjula Rao. You have heard Senior Psychiatrist Dr. Rajiv Anand, and both said that the women are now coming up. Advocate Manjula Rao was very clear that the new generation or the young new youth are joining politics, especially the female youth. And Dr. Rajiv Anand is very clear. He says that there is no question of empowering them. They are already empowered and they can safeguard themselves. We need not to safeguard themselves. But only thing is the man is monopolizing on many sectors. They doesn't want that the women should come forward. Now, we would like to know, because you are such a senior journalist and you have seen so many, all the political parties across the spectrum very closely. So we would like to know from you, the women and politics, Miss Carol Andrade, please.
Good morning, and it is an honor to be on such an august panel, including you, Mr. Goel, Dr. Rajiv Anand, whom I have known for a long time, Sanjana Grover, a familiar name, Manjula Rao, an even more familiar name. And thank you to V4 News for this entire exercise. I must confess that the choice of topic for today has given me problems, not because it is unimportant. Both components of this topic are super important. But I found it very difficult to put anything together because I wasn't sure what this panel expected. Did they expect me to talk about women in politics? Did they expect me to talk about women and politics? Did they expect me to talk about women affected by politics? Because each of these three subjects, in each of these three subjects, the thought process is so different. So I made my own choice and I hope that it would be acceptable. I am going to talk about women in politics and keep crossing over to the other subjects as well. Now, another thing I find a little uh, disconcerting is that all of you have come complete with facts, with figures, with statistics. And that is the first go-to thing that journalists normally pick up when they are preparing for these subjects. So now the entire panel and all those who are with us on the YouTube channel are familiar with the dismal kind of uh, statistics that were first brought to you by Mr. Goel, and then they were added to by Dr. Anand. But I think that we need to reiterate them again and again. The other message that we have got is that everything is very hopeful, it is optimistic, and more women should join politics because it is the only way to go. They have also, they don't need to be empowered by the men, that they already have their own powers. How I wish all of that was true. But it isn't. As we begin this panel discussion, the first thing that is uppermost in my mind is what Mr. Goel referred to, at first very discreetly, and then he brought in names for which I was thankful. And I'm talking about this Rihanna run out controversy that has erupted over a single thing that the American celebrity said, which was, why aren't we talking about this? For myself, I wondered why she thought we were not talking about it. But then I realized, and I think that this is true. She was talking about numbers. She was addressing her own followers, and there are 100 million people of them. They will not be followers only in America, they will be followers all over the world. Now, can you imagine those people who are only interested in Rihanna, which is why they follow her and they don't follow me? They are going to begin talking about this because Rihanna says so. She is not saying interfere with the government of India or anything. She's asking, why are we not talking about it? And it's true, while we live in the Indian bubble and everybody seems to be talking about one thing, the truth is that they're not. Even in India, we are not talking about it. A bubble is a bubble. It makes us think that this particular thing is all important when it really is not. So if you understand how technology works, you will understand what Rihanna was trying to do. And what has the repercussion been? Disgusting, traumatic. I would say not so traumatic for Rihanna, but it is traumatic for those people, those women standing on the sidelines and wondering, is this what is in store for me if I make a political statement? But Indian women are as courageous as they come. They have gone ahead not only and made statements, but have gone ahead and taken part in politics. For Rihanna, what has been the result, especially among what we largely suspect is an Indian troll camp, is people actually saying, we heard you were beaten up by your ex-husband or ex-boyfriend. You deserve that. Can you imagine? This is what we have descended to. Can you imagine the kind of patriarchy, the entrenched venom that women in India must face if they go into politics? How can you encourage us to go into politics? Men cannot encourage us because their encouragement is always conditional. It is women who must encourage other women to go into politics. Think about it. In America, during the last election in 2020, when the campaigns began, there were 6 women who were actually running for president. President. Among them, women of Indian origin, Kamala Harris and Nikki Haley. And we know how that has all gone down. We know what has happened. It's all been wonderful. America also has the highest number of women in their version of parliament, which is the Senate and the Congress, than they have ever had. Yet, they are 75th on the list of 193 countries when it comes to representation of women at the highest levels. Finland is already headed by a woman. Jacinda Ardern is doing a fabulous job in New Zealand. Angela Merkel in Germany. There has been nothing but praise for this absolutely practical, pragmatic woman who has seen what she has to do and gone out and done it. And the support has been phenomenal for her in Germany. This is the kind of support which has given her the security of stepping down as chairman of her party when the time came to do it. She is still seen as extremely strong. UK has now got the highest numbers of women elected to parliament. Bolivia, Brazil, not only UK. That's all those are first world countries. But Bolivia, Brazil, Mexico, they're also the highest number of women ever stood for elections. And what about us in India? What about us in India in 2019? Again, as Mr. Goel said, we are 48% of this country, and yet we sent almost as many members to vote as the men did. Almost as many members. We were just marginally lower at 67 point something percent. The men were 69%. So where is the difference? We want to vote. We want to elect people. We want to participate. Are we being allowed to? So when people are confident, optimistic about the way things are going, I am not that confident. I am not that optimistic. But I depend on women to do what they think is best for us. And the reason why things are developing so slowly is because look at the kind of pushback that we receive when we show that we are serious about participation in politics. Look at the pushback that we receive in terms of family opposition, it's there. In terms of party opposition, it's there. In terms of social proscriptions that are there, maybe unvoiced, because right now it is not politic to be seen as someone against the participation of women in politics. But it is there. In the Rajya Sabha, we have 20 out of 240 members. Women, there are only 20. out of 240 members. In the Lok Sabha, we are 14%. Well, a little more, 14.4%. Last year, when we had our elections, when they were completed, the Hindu called this record numbers. 14.4% is a record number for us, for women in parliament. Why? Because the earlier figure was 12%. So in that way, of course, we are a record 14.4%. Nothing to be happy about. There has been a study conducted which shows that in order for the world's priorities, political priorities to change globally, global representation of women just has to be 30%. If there were 30% of women globally represented at the highest levels, in parliaments, in houses, in senates, we could change global policy, change priorities. And God knows these priorities need to be changed. We, just by pushing out a few more women, ensuring that these women came to parliament, we might have helped the world achieve that 30%. Right now, we are just 23% globally represented. All we needed to do was push a few more of our highly talented, thank you, Dr. Anand, for saying all those things about us. But we accept that this is what we have to be. We have to be like this. We have to be highly talented in a place, in a field that attracts mildly talented or untalented men. And we need to be highly talented together. Women work their hearts out doing what they do best. Again, thank you, Dr. Anand, for saying it. I'm going to reiterate it. They manage and they coordinate and they organize, they stretch scarce resources the way men can never do. They multitask. Let's face it, very few women on the front lines of these organizations are actually allowed to focus only upon one thing. It is an unspoken bargain with the devil that they need to also do everything else. I am not talking about women like Manjula Rao and Sanjana Grover or myself, but I am not so naive as to think that we are typical. We are not. We are the privileged elite. Most of us women are not. And they are never rewarded adequately. It always in the background is the husband, the father, the brother, the chacha, always the male presence, sometimes supportive, sometimes understanding, sometimes indulgent, never enough, which is a pity because by and large, why should women and politics automatically go together? It is because women deliver. Even when patriarchy is entrenched in a system the way it is in India, they deliver. It is only their full and equitable participation in public life, in political life, not just as activists, not just as voters. It is only then that we'll build a true democracy. So what is full and vibrant? What is meaningful? We still need to work out. But we have no need to feel smug about anything. So again, women keep democracy strong and vibrant. Second, why should they be in politics? There is automatically a greater response to people's needs. And what are people's needs? Women work instinctively on what is important. This instinct, which we all have, is now shored up by education. It is not for nothing that we say that if you educate a woman, you are really educating a whole family. It is automatically a fact that this trickles down to every member of the family along with its benefits. And if women are left to themselves and not made into pawns or puppets, which is again a result also of reservation, the reservation handed to us so generously by men, if they are not pawns or puppets, there is so much more cooperation between women across the board, across class lines, across caste lines, across community lines. I keep wondering what would have happened if Miss Ranaut had not responded to Rihanna's tweet in such a blind manner, had not responded to her as an outsider, had not responded to her as an alien, had not responded to her with such hubris and arrogance. What might the conversation, what turn might that conversation have taken? But she did, and we see what is happening. But in the normal course, women see themselves as belonging to a sisterhood, whether you call it a sisterhood of the traveling ants, or as I prefer to call it, a sisterhood of suffering. And I am not being dramatic when I say this. Women know how to suffer. And this is what unites us. Across countries, across classes, across cultures, across communities, this is what unites us, that we automatically gravitate to one another. For us, this world has been inimical, and still we don't forget. We don't forget what is important to women and what is important to the world. We understand that families are important, people are important, marginalized are important, the vulnerable are important. My God, all those questions and that massive discussion about whether our children in creches and in Bal Niketans for their midday meal need to be given eggs or dal, because we are talking vegetarians versus non-vegetarians, and with such a patriarchal power behind it. If it was just women, there would be no discussion. You look at the child and you think of what the child needs more than your political exigencies, and you would do accordingly. I keep thinking, if it was just women in charge, or women with greater numbers in politics at a global level, by now fossil fuels would have been erased. No woman likes to travel 3 and 4 kilometers looking for wood to set her fire, her home fires going. No woman likes to walk with a handi on her head looking for water. We would automatically realize the policies and the political priorities that govern what we are doing to the environment. We would be able to gauge them, to evaluate them, and see how they affect all of us. And we would act accordingly. Why was Shaheen Bagh finally considered right at the start to be such a dangerous movement? It was because there were old women in charge. Why is it that people now look at the farmers' protests and get more and more frightened? It is because they are looking at the increasing numbers of women in charge. Increasingly, women are now coming out and making their presence felt. And these are all political statements. We have to realize that practically everything we say publicly is now also the political. We have power. We should learn to take it back for ourselves. And we are doing it. What else would account for the fact that there are numbers of fearless women who are going out and creating a form of political activism which is entrenched in the practical, they're going out into tribal areas, they are doing the work. These are all seen as political statements. And in the end, they are political. Because we have to remember that when you think about it, political is good. Women are good. And there is no reason why the one should not cleave to the other. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for listening to me. And thank you for bringing
Thank,
us onto this platform together.
thank you, Miss Carol. And she has very forcefully put her views, and she says whatsoever we are talking, the numbers, yes, the numbers are very poor in India as far as the parliament and legislature are concerned. And she says she has given the examples of Rihanna as well as Shaheen Bagh as well as the farmers agitation. I would not like to enlighten go further in that, but I will only say what she has mentioned, one thing very important. And she says that as far as if the women will be given the power, they would have taken very good decisions, which the men are not taking for some their political reason and whatnot. And she has given an example of midday meal for this, whether the child has to give an egg or not to be given, whether it should be given vegetarian or not to be given vegetarian. She said the women can decide by seeing the child or knowing about the child requirement, not on a politics. So according to her, the women are already in political field, but definitely they are not being given a proper chance, and that's why they are being deprived with the power which they are entitled. And but she feels that in like all the movements now, the women are participating and they are making their inroads in politics. Thank you very much, Ms. Carol, for giving such a enlightening talk today. I'm sure all our viewers might have been enlightened what you have said. Now, I would like to invite my next guest, and she is Ms. Sanjana Grover. Ms. Sanjana Grover, professionally, Ms. Sanjana Grover can qualify as a generalist. I will just say she's not journalist, but generalist with over 25 years of experience in for-profit and non-profit sector. Viewers, the generalist means she is a multitasking and she can do anything. She knows almost all the subjects, or I will say, I will not term as a jack of all, but I will say master of all. Uh, that is the meaning of the generalist. She has worn several hats, having built relationships, done business development, fundraising, created and negotiated meaningful partnerships with current focus on consulting for the non-profit sector. Sanjana and her son live with her geriatric parents. She is currently pursuing her hobby of storytelling via her YouTube channel, Life Begins at 40, that brings stories of ordinary human extraordinary achievements. Welcome, Ms. Sanjana Grover, on our show. Ms. Sanjana Grover, you have heard the earlier panelist, senior advocate Manjula Rao. You have heard senior psychiatrist Dr. Rajiv Anand. You have heard the senior journalist, Ms. Carol Andrade, and now we would like to know from you about the women and politics. Ms. Sanjana Grover, please.
Mr. Lal, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this very respected panel. I have heard all of you and I have taken something back, learned something new from each one of you. Thank you for sharing your views, and thank you to V4 News and everyone who's watching this right now. Um, you brought up some very interesting points when you were sharing our country's figures with us and telling us that despite the reservations for women in the local government, that we still rank only 20th from the bottom rung when it comes to our participation. Moving on to Manjula ji talking about how the trend is changing and girls are participating more and more, standing up for themselves. I appreciate Dr. Rajiv Anand and his views brought me to a thought process that politics flows across all sectors and sections of the society. as a set of activities that are associated with making decisions, as I understood it, and in groups. This is a form of power relations between individuals and bases the distribution of resources and the status. Carol, you brought up some very, very important and critical point of views when you said that women must encourage women themselves. And they possess certain qualities which are unmatched. Having heard all of you, I would like to start on the premises that in my thinking, women and men complement each other. We are the yin and yang. Not one is complete without the other. It is a vested interest of a lot of people in politics and in religion where we have been made second class citizens, where gender equality and women empowerment is something that we've learned to fight for and we've had to fight for, we continue to fight for. I would like to cite an example. I have varied friends from varied backgrounds, from various sectors, from, various socioeconomic statuses. And what I have seen is that, what my learning has been is that all of us need to learn how to bring up our children the way the armed forces personnel do. They do an exemplary job of bringing their daughters up and bringing them up with the thought process that they're equal citizens and that they have the power within themselves to be able to take charge of their life, to be able to take stock of their life and empower other humans. It's not just about girls or boys. I have a son, I'm a single parent, but I have brought him up to respect women, to treat them right. And that is something that is my contribution to the society, as it should be each woman's contribution to the society. The men have no say in this. The day we listen to men and let their physical brute force over ourselves scare us and make us take a step forward is the day we lose the battle. We always have to remember that we are empowered as human beings, that whatever the statistics say, it is most important for us to go with the thought process that we are no less than others. And we have ample proof of that. When you look at it, yes, I know that the situation requires that there are special reservations and quotas be saved for women in various sectors. I know that women in corporate sectors get paid much less than their counterparts, male counterparts, for the same work in a lot of places. But I also see that trend changing. I also see certain benefits being given to women that the men don't get. It is how much we appreciate and move forward with what works in our favor. Our own country, I say that the society's exclusion of women from leadership positions in public life keeps the society from benefiting from the special contributors that women are. The society is patriarchal, I understand. Within that, women can bring about a significant socio-political change. Their participation, a woman's participation, automatically lets in a broader array of voices, and which is very important for the growth of the society as a whole, complete growth of society. And I would say, as Carol very rightly pointed out, the recent example of COVID has been so heartwarming. The news has been awash with countries led by women who have handled coronavirus so beautifully, much better than their male counterparts. You have New Zealand, Taiwan, Germany as shining examples. Closer home, a public health system is carried on the shoulders of our Anganwadi workers who are all women. Agar wo na hoti, to our public health system would not be as strong and resilient as it is today. I see a lot of examples. Yes, I know that there are various complexities involved. There are very many challenges that we have to face. But I would say that the women are still coming forward. And closer home, Kiran Majumdar-Shaw has been my greatest inspiration in her path-breaking work. And Indra Nooyi, who has taken PepsiCo to the glorious heights that she has. So women are nurturers by nature, by virtue of who they are. They have the ability to bring things together, to bind things together. They cannot put up institutions, but they are the most wonderful multitaskers. They are the most talented, I would say, human beings who can troubleshoot. You look at all of us, women have been able to do so much in so many areas of their lives and balance it. I have friends who head APAC regions for their countries, who are CEOs of their organizations, and their ability to manage their children, bring them up in a very balanced manner, manage the home, and yet be compassionate and a kind boss, always having the time to lend an ear to their colleagues, is exemplary. It's outstanding. And they seldom stand, I also see that they may seldom stand up for themselves, but they definitely do for what they believe to be right. They will never step down if they see an injustice being done in front of them. I find women to be compassionate and empathetic, yes, much more so than men who have a single minded focus. They're, they're considered better at creating a safe and respectful work environment. As Mr. Lal mentioned, I also run my own YouTube channel called Life Begins at 40. And the purpose of running my channel was to bring life stories of women who have overcome, their financial, their health, their relationship karma to reach their highest potential today. And all these women have been an example for me. I also interviewed my help at home, who was beaten by her husband consecutively for several years. He one day pulled her hair so hard that a patch came out and she had to get stitches in her head. After that day, she stood up for herself. She picked up the balan at home and hit him. And now, today, is the bread earner of the family, has built a house for herself, and is educating her children, both girls and boys, to ensure they never have to face the trauma and the hardship that she had to go through. So, when I was going through, when I've been interviewing all the women on my channel, what I have realized that the certain qualities which is common across all these women and which I have taken from the Harvard Business Studies is that these women have demonstrated less overconfidence than men. They have been, they have had to over prepare because the society does not accept women very easily in their midst. The men will pay less attention to women when they are with them. And therefore, they've had to over prepare, work harder to prove their competence and their performance. These women have led through inspiration rather than through the carrot and stick approach. There has been a great display of the combination of EQ and IQ. These women put their people ahead of themselves. They are less self centered in their style of leadership. They have an emotional connect and empathy, and they elevate others, less transactional in their approach to relationships. They are more strategic and compassionate, kind, honest in their relationships. They are not looking at the end results. They are humble. And I have been practicing Buddhism by Nichiren Daishonin, and he very rightly says that women are the sun of the earth and have an untiring ability to give hope and strength to people around. They bring the light to this planet. And in the end, all I would like to say is that as women, it is our prime responsibility to uplift, encourage, and take women forward, not bring each other down. And once we set that example as mothers, as daughters, as wives, as colleagues, as friends, then we can look at there is no man who can defeat us. So the horizon is bright, the horizon is vast. It is women who have to take the power within their hands and stand up for themselves. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sanjana Grover, for giving your views. And she says that the women are multitasking, as well as if they cooperate with each other, then man or no one can defeat them in any sphere. And she has given example of Kiran Shaw, as well as of Neoni, Miss Neoni, and others who are the inspirational and who are the front. And she says that the women can do anything. Only thing is that the man is not allowing them to do it. But now the time is changing, and according to her, if the women will support with each other, they can do whatsoever they want to do to achieve their goals. Thank you very much, Ms. Sanjana, for giving your views. Now my question goes to Dr. Rajiv Anand. Dr. Rajiv Anand, we have seen the figures that in India, if we compare with USA, the less women candidates were giving the seats, the get less number of women were the candidates, but still they are winning more seats. While in USA, there are more number of candidates, they were giving, they are winning number is less. And we know that in USA, it took so many years after the independence or the freedom that first time Miss Kamala Harris got elected as a vice president. And we all know that the last time Miss Clinton was more effective than even Mr. Biden today. But she could not won the election last time because they also have the same man chauvinism in USA, not only in India. But this time, Miss Kamala won not as a woman. I must say she has not promoted that she is a woman, rather because she was representing minority, she was representing many other aspects which she has shown, as well as the negative votes against the present at that time the administration of Mr. Trump. But in India, we are giving very less numbers of seats to the women. Still, they are winning more seats. So it is nothing but it is because of our man mentality. We do not want that the women should come in forefront in the politics. What you say about this, Dr. Rajivan?
Mr. Lal, you have answered yourself to few of the questions which you have asked. One, that masses in the society, they have begun having this view very clear. The men, by and large, have enough run to the political seat or the political power, and their game and their machination and their manipulation and their exploitation of the society is too writ large to be commented on. The society has recognized that most men, whenever they get into the political position, they use that position to amass wealth. So they now look forward to the female, to the women. Women have been nurturer, they have been kind, they have been compassionate, they have been connecting to people easily, they have more empathy for people's pain, they know what pain is. Unfortunately, the man in general, be it in USA or be it in India, as if intuitively they feel threatened by the female, that if she occupies the power or if she's in a position, she would outshine man. She would come out much brighter, much more successful. That's why men unconsciously keep them suppressed. And which is true. Because the women's energy, women's talent, women's power is so much diversified, so much blocked in innumerable responsibilities. If some of these responsibilities could be reduced, could be taken away from her, and she could be left to focus on limited tasks, then she would certainly outshine a man. She would go much farther in her role, in her efficiency. This is what worries most men in any country, in any society. So I think what you have already answered, I will elaborate it on that. Thank you, Mr. Lal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anand. Now my question goes to Ms. Carol. Ms. Carol, we are talking about the women empowerment or giving more representation in the political field. We have seen in the local bodies or panchayats the women reservation taken place, and about 33% or so. And we have seen, or rather more, we have seen in many of the northern India that women who has become panchayat head, instead of her, the meeting is held by her husband. Then what is the use? We are talking of that women should participate in politics, but the husband is officially and nobody is taking action. Neither the government is interested, nor the, because they feel, they consider, I can tell you the state like Rajasthan, they consider that this is a normal thing, or Haryana, where a woman has been elected as the panchayat head, but she is sitting just aside, and the head of the meeting is taken by the man. What you say about it, Ms. Karal?
Mr. Lal, you
Please.
forgot about Bihar also.
Okay, I add Bihar also. Please unmute yourself, Ms. Karal.
Thank you. I got the reference to Bihar, and I was quite happy actually, because I am originally from Bihar, from Patna. So
Okay.
I know exactly what you are talking about. But I know that it's very tempting to criticize reservation, and I do criticize it. But I criticize it because it is a fake construct imposed upon the political system as a kind of sop for all those bitter critics of what should constitute a working political system. 33%. Why are we, constrained to 33%? What is it that stops us from actually sending out a lot of women candidates for elections and letting the chips lay where they fall? So if a woman is elected, it's fine. I mean, it's correct. It's that women should be elected if she is what people of a particular constituency want. If they want this particular woman, she's a good candidate. She is standing for elections based upon her track record. What is wrong with that? Why should we have this artificial construct? Why should we have this artificial proscription upon numbers? Why should we have these constraints? If women are not fit to be elected, they shouldn't be elected. But if women are fit to be elected, why should we cap their election numbers? This is what causes the entire process to be what it really is, a fake thing. And that is why women are not able to operate, they are not able to bring to their jobs the full extent of their powers. It is because we all know, and they also know, that they are there. Many of them, not all, most of them are there at the behest of this horrible patriarchal system, who says, you are here because we let you be here. Till
Okay.
men realize that they should really be going out and fighting on their own. And of course, again, when you talk about going and fighting on your own, it's so glib. Where are they going to get money from?
Okay.
Where are
Okay.
they going to get all this done? So you need to change that as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Carol, for giving your answer very forcibly again. Now, I am coming to Ms. Sanjana. Why blame men? Men is not against women. Women is against women. You are 48%. Why you are not electing your own MPs or MLAs? It's your fault, not the man fault. You are saying man has not given. No, man has not stopped you. You can very well stand in the election, but who is going to give vote to you? Women will not give you vote. They will go on the party line, or they will go to Bahubali. They will go to a person who is money fellow, who is this thing. Now, this is why it is the real fact. If you all are if you all are united, 48% seats will be in the parliament, and as well as in the legislative council. then don't blame us, Miss Sanjana.
I like that.
That was a very, very strong question and point of view.
But only 1 minute, please. Time is.
So,
Yeah.
all I would like to say is that the challenge is far more complex than we can discuss in 1 hour. The layers are so deep. The women may want to do certain things, but they also live in and are tied by a society. They are also tied by their upbringing, as I said. I don't blame men. Yes, but however, men do use their physical and their financial power over women. How many women do you hear are raping men as against men raping women and children? Yes, that is a hard fact and it stays. Within these constraints, what can we do is what we are here to discuss. I will still say that women and men both have a shared responsibility to bring a future generation, to bring up a society that is respectful, that is dignified, and that gives each other the responsibility and the opportunity that is each other's due. I am not here to tell anyone what to do, what not to do. And this starts at a very basic level. Just as men are not here to dictate to us. My current help is running the house. Her husband is not an earning member, but he still bosses over her.
Okay.
He does
Okay. We got your answer.
not
Yes. The bosses is there.
their responsibility.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Miss Sanjana. So today you have seen that how the women who are more capable, more honest, and more intelligent, as our panelists have mentioned, can very well rule the country. And they have shown earlier times also, we were having president, prime minister, chief ministers of many states. But the representation is very less. The people, the girls or the youth or even the ladies, the women are not coming forward for the politics because the politics, as one of the panelists has said, is a dirty world. Who made it dirty? I think the men made it dirty. If we have made it dirty, then why the anyone is going to politics, whether it's men or women? Because the man doesn't want the women should come forward and take over the political scenario of the country, or they will participate in the policy making. So it's a thing. But one in the last, again, I will mention the unity of women is required. It is not, if nobody is giving you, you can snatch by your own power. You are 48%. Don't blame everything from the man. As Dr. Rajivanand has clearly said, who are the men to empower the women? Women can empower men. Women are, I can add only one thing, women are giving the new life. Everyone has been born by women only. Thank you very much. And today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Manladu TV, News Gaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow our topic is role of youth in professionalism. And our chief guest is Dr. P.P. Devan, Professor of Head and Neck Surgery at AJ Medical Hospital and Research Center, Mangalore, along with 7 youth guests who will be interacting with Professor Dr. P.P. Devan and bringing out their suggestions, their views on role of youth in professionalism. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Anand. Thank you very much, Senior Advocate Manjula Rao. Thank you very much, Ms. Carol Andrade. And thank you very much, Ms. Sanjana Grover, for such an enlightening and a very lively discussion on this media conference.